audio is kicking in here, and alright, cool. Y'all are audible now, and yeah, there we go. Hey, congratulations, guys. Megatune is actually going to be the model tonight. She's taking over the stream. Alright, so I need my fucking link that I used for, the stream that went into my notices real quickly, because I had to reset my password for my fucking Ko-Fi just now. Right, so let's do that. What is the name of this stream? Yes, I am an art. There we go.
I render, therefore I art.
Hell yeah. Technically, we're all in art today, because we all have PNGs on the stream.
Fox, are you actually talking?
Nope,
your avatar
we're good,
is dancing,
we're good,
okay.
Don't worry about it.
But I hear nothing.
It's because I'm typing. Of course. Don't worry about me, guys. There's so much stuff tonight. I was going so over. I went way above and beyond for preparing some shit for this, and then I had to fuck it all up right at the buzzer, where I was like, oh, shit,
1 minute
I can't
left.
log into my
Go.
Ko-Fi.
Late Fox.
Yep, late Fox indeed. Late Fox indeed. This is why I have that.
Shame him.
I am
Everyone get
already
his
in
ass.
shame.
Bailiff whack his pee-pee.
No.
What the fuck?
Shame. Alright, I think that's everything now. Yeah, alright, cool. We're good. We're Gucci. Hello, everybody! Hi! How you doing today? Hi.
Word.
How's it going? We're here. I still don't really know how to properly pronounce your name, but I just call you Corb because that's your fucking Discord name. But hello!
It's levandarss.
Levandarss.
Or however the fuck you want to say. I literally don't care.
Alright, fantastic. I could definitely remember that now because I've never actually fucking heard it up until now. But yeah, we got the usual boys here, and
I
of
can't
course,
be bothered to go by the whole
Levandarss.
thing.
Yeah, hell yeah. So let's start off with that one then, absolutely. So introduce thyself. Sell yourself away.
Okay. Hi. As he said, I'm levandarss, or just Corb, because that's what everyone calls me. I'm here because I draw occasionally. I drew one of the images on here. It's not mine, it's Ed's. I do things occasionally. I really don't know what else to say about myself. I literally wrote notes and I just couldn't think of anything to say. I kind of exist occasionally.
That's why we fly around here. We just.
That's exactly what we do. Exactly. As Ghost Sock had mentioned on top of it too, scuff is the norm. Is it actually a stream for me or for most people if it is perfectly by the book with no scuff? It's fine. So, fantastic. All right, cool. So yeah, we have Corb here, and as is in the title, if you look into the actual description, I didn't want to go ahead and just fucking throw it out in the open, but we're talking about specifically AI art today, guys, and we'll get into that one. But oh boy, I fell down a rabbit hole with this one, and I am absolutely loving it. So the first check mark that I have here, we have to go into this one because, of course, we do. I want to talk about everybody's experience at drawing so that everybody is well aware of where all of us stand. Like, obviously, I'm still going to start with you as well, too. So continue with that one, Corb. Anything that you want to bring to the table regarding drawing, all this other stuff, relevant years of experience, etc.
Okay, so years of experience. I've been doing traditional art since I was a tiny little one. Don't ask me how old. I don't fucking know. I can hold a pencil, and I drew Warrior Cats OCs. I'm not proud of it, but I copied my sister in everything because I wanted to be better than her at art. And she doesn't really draw that often anymore, so I won, first of all.
Hell yeah.
Yes, he did.
But digital art, I have like 3 years experience. Maybe 4. I honestly could not tell you exactly when I got it. It was around the same time I started using Discord, to be quite honest. But
it's all good. We're not expecting like perfect specifics. Like, no, it's been exactly 3 years, 6 months, and 18 days.
Yeah.
So it's fine. You're good.
It's been exactly this amount of time in Unix timestamps.
Exactly. I need you to get it down to the nanosecond. Otherwise, we're kicking you off of this podcast right now.
But in terms of like actual professional art related stuff, I have 0 teaching. did not go to any school stuff aside from the mandated art classes. I just kind of fucked around and found out, and here I am.
Hey.
I draw stuff for money occasionally, but usually I just draw stupid shit posts. That's really it.
Listen, it works. Everybody starts somewhere, and either or. I think that still has a hell of a lot of relevancy. There are people who will pay for that, as I'm sure that you're well aware of.
Yeah, occasionally. Not that I really promote anything.
Absolutely. X, I want to know where you stand perfectly on this, because I have a general idea, but I have never gone into detail asking you
I don't think
it.
I've ever talked about it, so
Yeah.
I might be shocking. It might be shocking information. So I started drawing when I was a kid, probably around 7 or 8. Drew animals more than anything, and then from there it kind of evolved into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was a big inspiration for me. Anything that was anthropomorphic. I like to do humanable things, characters in my teenage years, and this is where it's going to start to age me very rapidly. I wanted to get into comics and then fantasy art with the whole tabletop thing. I did do art through high school. I did go through university, 5 years university in fine arts, so I got a couple specializations there. I did about 2 or 3 years as an actual artist. I starved, and then I went to college for programming. So that got me into the web programming world and just digital in general and digital art, inevitably. And that was 15, 20 years ago. So it was a long time coming. I kind of went into web design for galleries and museums. Did that for a few years, and then I started going more into the server side of things and the evolution of technology. And that's why I'm fascinated by where things are headed with AI art at this point in time. I kind of see it from a lens of, just a lot of evolving technologies that have changed the way that people look at art, do art, talk about art, consider art from an art history perspective. Some of my biggest influences have been artists that have pushed the threshold of how people see and talk about art, kind of breaking it out of that bourgeoisie mold and bringing it to anybody being able to express themselves and create. And I think that's what attracts me to art as a tool, not as a replacement for the artist, but definitely as a tool in the arsenal that an artist can leverage in order to express themselves. So there you go.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, X. But yeah, I've never actually heard you go into that, because again, I remember ages ago you started out on your channel doing time lapse shit, and that was I wanted to try to do at some point.
You did the
but I never had a good camera for it. But time lapse was fun.
He did the hyper realistic Santa in MS Paint. If you've ever seen that video.
Oh no, I have not.
That was him, and no, it's real. It's not it's like someone doing 10-hour time lapse drawing a hyper realistic picture.
Oh, that's excellent. We have a dude that's in my mall. He just sits there and he repaints whatever picture that you give him. And I don't mean just, all right, he just repaints it. It's oh, wow, that looks really... It literally looks like the fucking picture. He is so insane at replicating those pictures down to the gloss to all the shit that you have on. It is insane, dude. It just looks like a photo, but it's a painting. And I'm dude,
crazy. That's
insane. That's all he does is he just paints at that mall day in and day out. And I'm dude, holy shit.
You know what? Gotta respect the grind.
That makes
Absolutely.
It makes you think of the time I got hustled at the mall in Texas. You were there. You watched me get hustled at the mall.
Oh, the fucking massage people. Yes. Hello, Huck. How you doing, by the way? Welcome to the stream.
I got fucking hustled at the mall. That was so weird.
You say Yusuke, and you're reminding me of fucking Onimusha. That was a long time ago. Anybody ever play Onimusha when it was in its prime once upon a time? Oh my god.
Nope.
Capcom used to make great games. Anyway, so my relevant drawing experience. I've gone over this one a little bit. I haven't really gone too hard into drawing recently. But I honestly only really started to pick it up late middle school and into high school. And I only really started to develop and get much better when I hung out with a friend of mine named Brittany back then. And basically that just started out where I would I tried to not necessarily trace, but I would use her drawings of my characters and try to replicate them. And then I was starting to kind of understand like the general structures, arms, legs, this, that, or whatever. Got tips from her, and it just developed from there. Because like I wanted to start out just making, hilariously enough, comics. Because that was where I was talking about that fantasy universe originally, where I was like, yo, dude, I want to make something that's like my own thing, because I could probably make a better RPG world that I would enjoy more than just trying to find the one that matches my preferred tastes. So I could just make one. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make my own.
And then Brittany moved to Europe and became Kitty.
Nope, not at all, actually. I mean, more specifically, Brittany had a sex change and turned into Jude, which I have not seen Jude in a while. But
misinterpreting the Fox lore.
Yes, exactly. Misinterpreting it entirely. But either or, that was where that all started, and I just kind of picked things up from there, tried to actually challenge myself more and come up with my own ideas on how I wanted to pose characters. And now I can do pretty decent shit now. I mean, you guys have seen some of the drawings that I've done before. I am definitely not a stellar artist. I don't really touch the digital side of things, mostly because I'm just fucking stubborn. There's a drawing tablet in the next room. I could if I really wanted to. I have GIMP. Jeez. Wouldn't be hard. But I just haven't really touched the digital side of things because I just like actually having my pencil there to be able to do it and whatnot. Fucking props, though, to people who do digital art, because holy fuck.
Yeah, there's some crazy scales out there, man. The speed and preciseness that they can pull off in tablets is, I can't wrap my head around it at all. Yeah,
dude, I watch Kenny draw, and I'm like, damn, dude, damn. But yeah, no, that's just where that all started right there, and it just kind of went uphill from there. And this was, well, let me put it to you this way. I'm 29 now, and if it was when I was going into high school, I was 14 when I was a freshman. So this is 15, 16 years ago I started, and I've just been going on and off from there. I probably would be a lot better at drawing if I hard focused on it, but the problem is I have 90 bajillion things I enjoy doing, and I'm ADHD, so I'll do it until I get bored and then move to the next thing.
That's exactly it.
I've never done it professionally. I've never sold anything that I had, but man, that is a rough kind of thing to get into on top of it right there. Oh man.
Yeah. No, it takes dedication, right? Like art is it's one of those skills. Like you can learn theory and stuff like that, so you can apply those values and principles. But at the end of the day, man, hand-eye coordination. You gotta like getting what's in your head out on paper or tablet, wherever you're putting it. Like it never goes the way you expect it to go and you want it to go. Yep. I mean, unless you have the years and years and years and years of talent, and you have to train yourself to kind of capture what's in your brain. And even people with talent, like I follow some art channels where like guys from video game developers and stuff like that, right? Designers for those big games, and even they struggle. Like you can see them doing some stuff, digital stuff while they're talking, and they keep changing their shit, but they know that it needs to be changed, and that's something that's also a skill that you learn over time.
That's always a rough thing right there too, which by the way, I love that. Fine, I'll do it myself. But no, that is a good way to actually go about anything creative. We talked about that in the first episode as well right there. Like just fucking dive into it and create shit. When you start to harshly critique yourself on things and compare what am I doing wrong versus the people who spent the time for it, that's when you fall into a rut where you never get anywhere. The important thing is just to put something down and then go from there. It took me a long time with drawing to I need to stop focusing on rewriting over and over and over and over and over again, trying to get this line perfect and do the whole fucking thing. It took so long to do that. But I absolutely agree with you. When you don't it's so hard until you just put the hours into it to be able to understand, all right, so this is how you want to be able to do the perspective of how they're going to be pointing at the camera in this particular way. Like trying to visualize that and put it onto paper is not fucking easy. It just isn't.
At the end of the day, I think out of Zay, I think it's Zay. Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm with you. Just do whatever you want. Shay is the.
I think the most important thing with art is just practicing, because at the end of the day, you can take as many classes as you want, but at the end, even if you don't take any classes, eventually you're going to get somewhere if you just do it.
Yep.
100%.
There's the two parts of it.
Taking, yeah.
Either or. There's the two parts of it, right? Because, like, again, that goes into so many different things. Developing a mastery. Art is a big one as well. I tell people it makes more sense to just go ahead and try to, like, develop things. You don't need... It depends how far you want to go before you should take actual lessons for an instrument. Take it from somebody who plays a lot of things by ear. And I've also had professional training. The foundations I never actually noticed or cared to utilize until recently. And then I started to see that and I was like, oh. So there's the seeing things, the watching it happen, and then there's the practical application bit. And you get one or the other, ideally, when you're doing those things. It's trying to tie them together that ultimately really gets you somewhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ed, your drawing experience, if any.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. So
stick figures, ICT class.
Yes. No, I've been doing it since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I did it throughout middle school. I was part of like the art club in middle school. I did like some posters for the schools, like for event stuff. Mm-hmm. Freshman year of high school, I took another class. I met my first partner in that class. And I never took an art class after that. Because that year was really bad, and I didn't want to do art ever again. And then I just got back into it like a couple weeks ago.
Hey, yo. Mm-hmm. Good shit, though.
The wall,
the
wall of hands exists.
Yes, I will not rest until I see you create Yume Nikki fan art.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it right now.
Do it. Draw me a Matatsuki, please. I would love to see it.
I also want to see it.
No, I'll just send the wall of hands because that's on standby. Anyway, you guys keep going. I'm just looking for that.
Right, fair enough. All right, cool. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I figured would go. I just wanted to know where everybody was with like actual, like specifically drawing, because we did that whole "what do you do artistically" thing last time, and yeah, that basically goes into that. But oh man, I know X is itching to get into this as well too, because it's going into two topics that I know that he is big into. Number one, art, and number two, philosophy. Because of course we're getting into the philosophy of fucking AI art right now. We'll get there.
I sent the wall of hands to the chat.
Hey yo, alright, give me 1 segundo. Oh hell yeah!
Not real shit. Those look great.
Yeah,
I like the perspective.
Hold up. Do you mind if I throw that on stream?
Yeah, I'm a little self-conscious about it.
All right, fair enough, dude. All good. All good. If it is meant for my eyes only, then it is meant for my eyes only. All right, fair enough. All right. But, yeah, we're going to definitely dive into that. And I, again, had to check some fucking shit about this beforehand. But first, here's a general question for you guys. What do you define as art? And this is meant to be completely philosophical. There are no right questions. Except for you, Ed, that's a wrong question.
What is a man? But a miserable pile of secrets.
Beautiful, beautiful fucking quote. And I will never I will never forget that quote, man. So good. Castlevania.
But which one? But which one? Which one?
I mean, I know that is a quote in Symphony of the Night referencing an older game, though. So that's the beginning of Symphony of the Night. But that also is from another game at the beginning before it moves into the actual Symphony of the Night part. And then you start absolutely rocking shit with Alucard because he's a fucking Chad. But yeah, fucking love him. Great character.
But okay, yeah, what is art, though?
Who would like to open that one? That's the real question.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say, right? Art is something that gives off meaning, at least, I'd say. As simple as that. Mm-hmm. It gives off some kind of emotion, right?
Okay.
Whether it be a portrait, whether it be an experience like a game, you can call LOR art. I would disagree with you, but I would... No. I think video games are art, books are art, there's visual art, music is art. Anything that gives off an emotion, pretty much, I think is art. What art is.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now here's the real question. Then where does that kind of start to border into other things and whatnot? Because like by that technicality, right? Anything could be art. Literally anything. The fucking earth that you step on. You know, you walk outside and you remember that particular patch of grass right outside of your house that the dog peed on, and it makes you angry every time that you think about it because it was such a pain in the ass to clean up. Well, that elicits an emotion now at that point. So,
but I think it has to have some meaning to you making it, and as well as the person looking at it. Like I think fine art is a scam. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Fine art is a scam. If I want to buy Jackson Pollock is not an artist. That's dots on a canvas. Listen, I'm just gonna be real with you. That's a money laundering scheme.
As somebody who tends to have a very expressionist look at things in general, to be honest with you, as somebody who does, I have to say, I think that there are some points in terms of perspective that I absolutely agree with, though, when it comes to the whole Jackson Pollock shit. For example, one of my favorite fucking lines from a movie that we watched in an art class forever ago is when somebody was asking him what his painting means. And I think this is an actual quote that he said in life, paraphrased more or less, though, but it's basically like, what do you mean what it means? It's just a painting. You don't look at a fucking basket of flowers and contemplate why it exists. You just appreciate it for being there.
Like you know what I mean? Andy Warhol is an artist because there's actual meaning about what he's doing because he drew the soup can. That's something like that you can like actually like what's it called? You can actually like conceptualize, right? Meanwhile, I put a single dot on a canvas. I basically I sneeze on a canvas and it sells for $1 million because of like the way my snot like formed on the canvas, right? That's not art. That's just me sneezing on a canvas.
Yeah, people can say that about Andy Warhol too, though. And I mean, Andy Warhol is one of my favorites as well from a conceptual perspective. But I mean, Pollock's in the same era of artists where their whole point of being an artist was to break down the idea of art. So now we're talking about an era of art where artists were trying to kind of deconstruct exactly what you're talking about.
So hang on.
Proving him right.
You're telling me, I'm sitting in chat, you're telling me that this is something I can conceptualize right here. That's a Jackson Pollock piece.
I mean, it looks cool.
It's not that he just used.
But anyone could do it, though. I could grab a box of crayons right now and scribble.
A bunch of people would, right? I mean, the whole argument at the time is that you couldn't do it, and so he proved that you could, and you could redefine how people engage with the performance of him creating these drip paintings across meters of canvas, right? Like I've seen some in person. These things are fucking huge. Like that doesn't make them better; it just makes it more absurd. That's his point. His point is that I can do this. I can perform it, record myself doing it, and I can get a show in New York and then sell this stuff for $1 million plus. And his whole point was that it's not necessarily. I mean, you can buy it because you want to find your own meaning in the art, but that's also the point.
But there is no meaning; it's scribbles.
Well, that's not. It's art is subjective, right? The whole point of this era of masters, quote unquote, is that they wanted the audience to impart whatever they felt, whatever they attributed to that experience of viewing the art, of experiencing the art. It was up to the viewer to evaluate the value of the art. If a viewer wanted to pay, it's like NFTs today. I mean, you know, you guys could call it bullshit, but if someone's willing to pay $1 million for a JPEG, then someone paid $1 million. They might be idiotic.
Bro,
for doing
people,
that.
listen. If there's anything that I learned from all of the Dubai oil princes and whatnot, there are people who are willing to put thousands of dollars into fucking PNG files for mobile games. Okay, people will pay for anything.
You think it's
people don't have to agree about these things, right? These are subjective. That's part of the philosophy of art, though. Like if that's what we're getting into.
At the end of the day, it's a money laundering scheme for me. All fine art is money laundering.
Jason Pollock. I mean, Pollock's art might have been a money laundering. They might have been a bunch of mafia people that splurged money on there to hide it. You know, who knows, right?
I think a lot of fine art is money laundering. Like legitimately, that's like one conspiracy theory I believe genuinely is that fine art is a money laundering scheme, or like the selling of fine art.
Yeah, I'd have to strongly disagree. Otherwise, there'd be a lot more rich artists in the world.
That too. Yeah, absolutely. Too.
Well,
like, it depends on something clicking with it too. I don't know what that fucking little thing is, but
I mean specifically like fine art from like old artists, pretty much. I think like all that shit is some money laundering.
No, even Pollock is fine art, dude. Like anything postmodernist, like it's like the whole era was trying to break apart from the classical era of art and reinterpret how we define art, and that is all fine art. I mean, the fine art I learned wasn't Renaissance painting. You know what I mean? Like,
he will die on this hill, by the way, too.
Here's what I'm gonna say. No top 1% looks at that and be like, oh yes, I understand the deeper meaning behind this. No, they just want a tax write-off. That's
not how fine art. I don't think we're defining fine art the same way.
Presidential alert: the girls are fighting.
Oh man, no, I love it. This is exactly the kind of shit that we want on Give No Fucks right here, by all means. But no, it's
levandarss. Interject.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I kind of understand from both points of view, and I think it can be both. Honestly, I think some of it can be money laundering, and some of it can be actual art. And I feel like at the end of the day, if it is or isn't, the real decider there is the intention of the artist, because you can't say that somebody can't just throw a dot on a painting and then intend for it to be used for money laundering. At that point, I don't see it as really art. But I feel like if the artist is intending to go out and create art, then at the end of the day, it's art to at least somebody. And you know, it exists in that way. I'll be real with y'all. I suck at philosophy shit. Like, I'm very literal about things. This thing is the thing. My definition of art is literally whatever the fuck you call it.
You glued a banana to the center of a canvas. Like, that is what it is.
If someone says they created art, I will be like, fuck yeah, that is art. I cannot, I see a thing and it is the thing. I go off vibes alone. Definitions are for bitches. I don't know.
Labels are for soup cans.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's the creator who decides if it's art or not. And we can't be sure. That's the thing. There's no way to read someone's mind and be like, oh yeah, this person was intending to money launder, or this person was actually intending to create art. Which is why I feel like it can be both at the same time, and there's zero way to prove it. Because it just is whatever the person wanted it to be. But we can't know what they wanted it to be in the beginning.
Yep, pretty much. It's a really fucking interesting thing in general. It's something where I don't think that we're ever going to have a definition for, obviously. And that's the fun thing why I love bringing this kind of shit up, though. Because, then
there could be a definition, Fox. There just can't be an agreement, right?
Yeah,
there is an absolute definition. It's just people they won't agree because we all have subjective ideas of what is good art. So that's what people are actually arguing, right? It's not what art is. That's a philosophical topic. When we're talking about objective definitions here, there absolutely is a definition for what art is, and it involves a lot of subjective engagements by both the creator of the art and the observer of the art, and that is the definition of art, is what people are taking away from the expression perspective as the creator, and what someone's taken away from a meaning perspective, which is also from whatever a viewer wants to impart to their experience with the art. We don't have to agree, right? That's the whole confusion behind it all, right? And why philosophy even has a hard time nailing this one down. It's too subjective, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you say art has an objective definition, I feel like if an objective definition relies on very subjective things, then it can't be considered objective. You know, like, an objective thing is, this thing is an apple. And nobody can argue that that's not an apple, or they will be objectively incorrect. That shit's an apple right there. I don't actually have an apple in front of me. That'd be really funny if I did, though. But I feel like at the end of the day, even if there is, like a hardcore definition, like a set of guidelines, at the end of the day, for art, those guidelines have subjective things in them, so it can never actually be objective unless we decide to make it based on really objective guidelines. Like, the fucking... I have a frog in front of me that's crocheted. This is a crocheted frog. Nobody can tell me it's not a crocheted frog without being absolutely wrong, So
it's weird too, and it depends on what aspect that you're talking about when you're talking that kind of, because, like, again, there are objective aspects of subjectivity. Like, you could argue that it took more work to make X, Y, or Z, right, versus this, due to, I don't know, the fucking intricacy of the brush strokes or something. Like, you know what I mean? And you can go right there. But at the end of the day, does that actually matter? That's the real question.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can have objective things, like objective guidelines in subjective concepts, because obviously, like, there is a set of objective guidelines for art. But I feel like the minute there's anything subjective about it, it's not objective anymore. Mm-hmm. Because the minute it can be twisted through perspective, it's not objective.
It's such a weird it is such a weird thing in general. I think also, too, for the most part, I believe we can all be on the same page as well. Once you bring in anything monetary with it, then it becomes instantly 900 times as controversial with the discussion on top of it, too. I think that's, like, usually most people's breaking point with that shit. If you're just gonna make a fucking... I don't know, we'll go back to the same thing that I said before. If you're gonna glue a banana to a fucking wall, right, to a blank white canvas in a giant fucking room, and call it art, it's an entirely different thing if you're charging admission, you know? Yeah. I feel like that's usually where people just start to get actually angry about it.
You know that was actually an art piece, right? I'm actually looking it up because
I believe it. I believe it.
Anything is an art piece.
It's duct taped to a wall, something like that.
I'm saying this because I'm pretty sure you brought this the fuck up, Ed. Not Ed. Fucking Jay. I'm pretty sure you actually talked about this with me.
It was a New York City artist who ate. So he ate. So, anyways, it sold for 120,000 bananas.
What?
It was duct taped on the wall, and he ate it.
You're telling me that that's not a money, that they're not laundering money or trying to get a tax write-off by whoever's buying it.
Buddy. That's a whole other variety of art. Is performance art. It's something that's not attainable.
Honestly, I'm one of those types of people where I will give you personally a handshake if you can get somebody to be like, yes, I see the artist's vision right here. I will write you a check for 120 grand for a banana on a fucking wall. I will shake your hand personally.
Oh no! I pissed in the McDonald's cup. Time to sell this to an art museum.
No, just the money is in the bathwater, Ed. Come on.
It's not. Maybe if you pissed in bathwater.
Then
you might have an audience.
I'm pretty sure that's also been done.
I pissed in the bathtub here. Buy my performance art.
Yeah. Also, with the banana on the wall thing, I don't even care what y'all consider. I'm just not surprised that it's from New York because we have some pretentious motherfuckers up here.
That's where most of it. Kicked off. I mean,
that's where all you
the 50s.
That's where all you nutcases come from.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this real quickly. So give me 1 second. My favorite quote about art is, "Art," he said, "is fundamentally unfair. You see, we pretend art is eternal, that there is some kind of persistence to it. A truth, you might say. Art is art because it's not because... Wait, hold on. Art is art because it's art, not because we say it's art. I'm not going too quick, am I? But if art is eternally and meaningful and independent, then why does it depend so much on the damn audience?" Which goes on for a while. Yeah, no, there's a lot of shit that goes in that as well. Also, hello, App Leader. But there's a ton of shit that you can fall into right there.
Part is super important, though, right? Mm-hmm. Like the audience part is part of that art experience, right? That's why this makes it complicated. I mean, that quote is trying to say, and I don't know who said that quote, where you're getting from, but art being art, it's because if someone says it is, then I mean that's how it starts. Yep. Now, whether or not someone accepts it as art or not, that requires the audience, the buy-in. Let's not bring money into this, right? It's just you put a rock on another rock. If you say that the stack of rocks is art called stack of rocks, I can consider it art. And everyone who comes to my house I might tell them about my piece of art of my stack of rocks, right? And it's like the story. In 5 years, maybe there's stories about in the storm it never knocked over, right? So maybe that becomes part of the art, the story behind the art. Like, who knows? Like, I mean, you can build on this over time. It can evolve into something else, and that's a whole other layer. That's a Z-axis or the Z-axis of the definition of art. Man, this goes all over. But I mean, that second part that you mentioned in that
words of radiance, the epilogue.
The audience needs to buy in, because 100 years later, if those two rocks are still on top of each other, someone coming around with no context that audience that just sees two rocks, they're not going to see it. They might not see it as art, or they might adopt it as art. But at that point, the art might be dead. The art goes, the definition of art for those two rocks is gone.
You know, I think the most important part of that statement is just art is art because it's art. Because that's just it. I feel like that's all we need. You know,
it just is.
There is no definition.
You say it is.
It just fucking is.
Mm-hmm. I love it though because like it somehow makes sense to everybody in this room though at the same exact time. You can't really fucking define why or how or what this fucking like the nuance is there, but it made sense to everybody in this room right now. Also, the thing that I am loving as well while looking into this, what the fuck was I just gonna say? They had a thought process somewhere. Oh yeah, I think generally for the most part too, like anybody that I have ever talked to that like creates anything in any way, shape, or form, right? Like any level of creative mind, for the most part, like you can say you're doing things for your own personal enjoyment though, but because you were saying the whole audience thing as well, I feel like pretty much everybody, for the most part, I don't think that this would be even used as a concrete reason either, to be honest with you, because I'm sure that there's some breakthrough case you could find somewhere with it if we really decided to identify it, though. But ideally, it's like it's kind of just about the thought process behind it, right? Because like with Jackson Pollock, it wasn't about, all right, cool, well, this is just a bunch of fucking blobs and shit all over the goddamn canvas. It was, well, no, he didn't brushstroke, he dribbled it onto the canvas. Like, you know, it was the method of how it got there. And some people were just really like, wow, all right, that's pretty dope. There's a lot of different methods behind doing that sort of... Even the rock thing that you were saying right there, what if the entire reasoning for why somebody even makes shit like that, like, for example, cairns, something to that level, right, is it's about the rocks themselves, they're shaping and trying to be able to make it sound... Like, you know what I mean? Like, there can be an argument for that, and that could be an interesting... discussion in and of itself right there on what was going through that artist's head while they were trying to fucking stack those rocks. I mean, it sounds really dumb to, I'm sure, some people, or maybe even a majority of people, though, but for me personally, I'll hear that and I'm like, you know, I would like to know. I want to understand. A level of me wants to understand what was going on in your brain while you were doing the thing. Why did you stack rock?
That's part of the expression. These are our art throughout culture as like you think for a couple thousand years, like 6,000 years, people just like did stuff because they did, you know, like there was a reason for it. Like it was all, I mean, this goes back to episode 2 of like the oral tradition and storytelling. I mean, iconography has been part of communication. And so art is one of those pieces where from an expression perspective, and this is going to go into AI art. It's like part of what makes something art that they're trying to get AI art to do is that it's that human expression component is what are you bringing to the creation of the art that makes it, that has that human value to it. Like the computer can't do that. It's programmed to just emulate, to imitate concepts that can generate an output, but the generation of that output does not have that human element. Won't have the stories, won't have the way to express those stories to other people as stories. Like there's nothing that can be told from that except for the output. And so that's the argument so far for the big distinction between AI art and human-made art. But yeah, the images, man, and art have always been around because it's supposed to make people commune around it, right? Talk about it. Like it's supposed to spark ideas. That's what makes it art, right?
Yeah. I can feel you on that one for sure. I got a little distracted right there because my internet is doing that thing where it dipped out again, and I don't know how much of that has been caught, and it is a little annoying, I gotta be honest with you. I don't see anybody complaining about it buffering, though.
But, yeah, it's there.
A decent idea of what happened, though. It is buffering very noticeably. I'm honestly getting really annoyed with my whole internet situation at this place. I've been inflicted with the bug that you've been hit by, my friend.
Oh, no, man, because I am suffering. I am suffering. I'm glad that I'm not breaking anything on you.
Oh, man. I made it worse